What is up, my dogs? It's your boy, Mike Mason, here for a really special fireside chat. But they're all pretty damn special, or I wouldn't be doing them, frankly.
True.
But like, yo, for real, tonight we're headed back to a really special event, Glass Vegas. I know a lot of y'all have attended it over the years or have had the chance to kind of watch it through our lens. And tonight we're heading back to 2022 with the amazing artist and one of my teachers, actually, Grimm, Karl Taylor. Absolutely spectacular glass artist. I know many of you watched the demo from the Beat Expo recently, where he was with us talking and explaining so many things in detail. And he wasn't as talkative here at Glass Vegas, and they're playing music that would have us copyright striked in like 8 seconds. So you're just stuck with us tonight. But no, I'm really excited about this, and fortunately, being one of Grimm's students, I think I can add a little extra juice here for you guys. Speaking of the juice, my lovely co-host, she's got the juice.
The juice,
Carrie Strope.
baby.
Yeah. It's not like a nickname. I mean, OJ pretty much fucked that one up, but you
That's a
are.
song. I was gonna start singing it.
Oh
I
yeah.
got the juice,
Yep. Baby.
baby.
Whatever. Yep. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Karaoke with Mike and Carrie.
There we go.
Live.
Good times, good times. Yeah.
Anyways, fuck yeah, I appreciate you being here with me tonight, and yeah, adding your insight. What pendant is that you're rocking there?
I was just thinking that as I put it on, I picked it up at the Craft Center for the Arts or something like that in Louisville, Kentucky when the gas conference was there.
Okay,
I don't remember
gotcha.
whose it is, but I really liked
Cool.
it. Yep. Yep.
All right,
Speaking
that's
of
what's up.
gas, if you're interested, can I share a little bit before we get started here?
Of course.
So there was a Zoom meeting today for anybody that was interested in submitting proposals for the next gas conference. It's going to be in Detroit in 2023. They're kind of teaming up with the Michigan Glass Project, and they're really hoping to kind of invite the flameworking community into everything like really hardcore this year. Like they really, really want people to be involved. And if people want to submit proposals for demos, lectures, and collaborations, panel discussions on the pipe community and how it relates to the wider glass community in general, they're looking for anybody that might want to help bridge that gap between the degenerates and the other people. Maybe
Yep.
you could say it that way. So they had a Zoom meeting. They're going to have another one July 6th that kind of helps people, like answers any questions for anybody that was curious about like getting feedback for a proposal that they had in mind for the conference, or any questions in general. So I attended that earlier today because I'm tossing up the idea of submitting a lecture or lecmo for some of the work that I do in communities with the youth and kind of engaging them. But anyway, they're really interested in trying to get the pipe community more involved this time. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing to bring up. Let's zoom in on this here, guys. So they had that one session. I think there's another one coming up. Um, there's a link here. We can maybe just go to it. All right, July 6th, as Carrie was saying. So this is like a Zoom meeting that you can actually attend and get all kinds of questions answered.
What
I
was the
wanted
deadline
to.
on that? Is it
What's that? Okay, yeah, here, I'll pop this back up
like
and give you guys information here. This is
you want to,
interesting stuff, though, if you actually want to submit something. So,
and you
yeah.
don't have to be a gas member to submit a proposal, and you get money for presenting and a free conference pass.
Oh man, the porn bots are already hot in the chat right
Yes,
now.
they are.
Woo!
Yes, they
Yeah,
are.
you. Thanks for
Okay,
sticking with us,
so
guys. You got options.
proposal applications close July 17th. So that still gives you 11 days if you get there for the July 6th proposal info session. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can totally go to this website and you guys can click through and get all the information that you need there as far as the proposal guide and the application. The applications through Submittable. So you go there and you can at least get all of your basic information in there, like the websites where people can go to see the work that you're going to be talking about, all of that. And then the description is like 1,000 or 1,200 words for the conference journal. And I was asking about submission guidelines. Do you think people are interested in this, Mike? Because I'll keep
I
talking about it.
propose we move on to the show, but
Okay.
no, I'm just playing.
All right.
We should finish.
Because if you're interested in this, so basically what happens is community collaboration and what was the other one? Crossover. That's kind of the theme for Detroit. So if you had any idea for anything that you might want to propose, you basically you fill this out, and then they have kind of a jury of folks that select who's going to get which proposals they like the best. So they kind of score them, and it's the executive committee and the local organizers, the Detroit organizers. They'll kind of all go through it and see the ones that are most interesting, and then they'll kind of put together the conference based on that. So this is kind of your chance to say, this is what I'd like to see at a GAS conference.
Yeah.
Really.
And I'll piggyback on that just a bit, because like, man, if you guys have watched some of the GAS stuff we've done lately and heard me talk about this, then you already kind of know this history. But that shit just might change your life, because it was really the opportunity to do an official broadcast for the GAS conference in 2017 that put me on the exact course I'm on to share the dank shit we're about to watch together tonight. I had actually initially just proposed to do like an episode of Torch Talk, our, OG webcam show with me and the boys or whatever. And we were going to do a little demo. Fucking Kate Burners from Bethlehem was going to join us. It was an adorable proposal. And it ended up evolving into just doing this live broadcast of these amazing, Piper Dan was on this lineup, amazing lineup. The freaking two-stroke, amazing shit. A collaboration night where AKM showed up and everybody was throwing down on pipes. Madeline Riles Smith was throwing down with the boys way back in the day. Yep.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
The footage is online, dogs. It's up. You
right
can look that up, that GAS collab. Now, I know, it's crazy. Homegirl, if you guys aren't familiar, you probably seen it on TikTok. She's got like 10 million followers over there or whatever, sharing all kinds of cool glass stuff. In any event, it was really that. And then between having that opportunity kind of inked, it was East Coast Melt and Glass Vegas were the events that had me out to film, which is where I really got my sea legs. I mean, the first year at Melt, I was kind of just wandering around with the camera. It was a lot more like, it was like the Hunter Thompson years of Torch Talk or whatever. Some gonzo journalists. And it was really at Glass Vegas after that I'd kind of borrowed a really nice video tripod from the Headlife Media guys. And from there, it's like I've been evolving from that. And honestly, Glass Vegas and Melt, like I'll always hold them close to my heart, because before anything, before you knew what was going to happen if I showed up, I think now it's known. I'm going to get real drunk and cause a scene. No, I'm just playing. I sincerely, though, I think these homies out there know that I work very hard and we capture really nice stuff, and that they know we have a kind community to share it with. And back then, I don't think that that Drake equation was quite so clear. There were a lot of X factors, and the fact that these events looked into the glassy heart of what we were doing, especially in the earliest days, and said, yo, all right, there's something cool here. And it really changed my life. That's why I kept doing it all those years after. It was that opportunity with the GAS conference that evolved from my proposal to just do something a little different. I'm not kidding. That's what led to everything. And anyways, let's rejoin one of these events that, like I said, opened their arms to us back in 2017.
Yeah.
We've had this amazing opportunity to cover them and a million other things. I'm like the luckiest dude in Borough, is what I really think of myself as. Let's pop this off, though, and get into what it is we do now. But yeah, that's kind of some of the history lesson there, and in terms of what I do and why I do it the way I do it right now, and then supporting me in this mission are these companies we're taking just a moment to acknowledge. I mean, they pitch in a little bit every month. This isn't something where I'm getting rich. Frankly, I go into my pocket a little bit every trip, no matter how tight a budget I've learned to do it on. I'm like an expert. If you guys ever need travel tips or about to hit your boy up, I will be
He's
happy
not
to
kidding.
tell. I really, there's a million ways to save money in almost every city that we have glassy events at. And like, even the Chicago Champs, man, I saved half the money on parking by finding this site that let me park at the hotel right next door for half the money. There's all the million little tricks, especially with Vegas and all that, and I'm happy to share. But regardless of all that, there's just, you can only do so much. And these companies pitching in, and some of you guys on the Torch Pass Patreon thing, it all adds up to being able to do this. And I'm like, believe me, on God, I am passionate about this, and I would do it as much as I could. But at the same token, I've got a kid in college, and it takes a village in terms of the community that everybody sees, and the hard work that goes into it, and then a shitload of plane tickets and Adobe money and all that junk. Anyways, here we are, Glass Vegas 2022, on stage. Grimm, like I said, he's actually one of my teachers. I had the opportunity to learn with him, and man, that was an awesome experience. What he taught us about in that class very specifically, he teaches a million things. You can't talk to the guy for 10 minutes. He probably teaches like the guy at Burger King something about glass every time I pick up an order. But this class was about encasing Murrine, which is what we see right here. And we're going to see right out the gate, he makes the disc that goes on the back. It's a hollow disc that has a piece of the Starry Night Murrine that he made out there with the Starship crew, which is absolutely epic. One thing to notice, guys, is how thin that slice was. When I learned with him, and as I clearly to this day, he really encases very thin slices, and he'll cut them very thin and then polish them down to like a really solid 600 on the lap wheel before they're ready for the flame. And and that's just a moment to acknowledge, though, that some people's 600 is other people's 1200. So if you've got a 1200 pad, it might not hurt. It's a whole nother show's worth of information, but there's certain speeds to run them at, generally very slow, except for the earliest stages when you're really trying to remove material. But running that lap slow and keeping an even pace on it, that 600 should generally be flame polishable. In this case, we're going to see him do a cool pickup technique. So he was gathering up some glass to form the lens and then pick this Murrine up. He's going
That's
to
not the
pre-warm
Murrine
it.
that we're looking at, is it?
That it's
No.
on the no, it's the slice that's on the Marver. It was on screen for just a moment.
Oh, okay, I see it.
Yeah, it's hanging out there, getting ready. Probably just even getting a little warm from all this process, but that's just where he wants to do the pickup, so to speak.
And this
So
is
he's
hollow that he's picking it up with?
he's already lensed that glass that he's got in his other hand, and this is the piece that's going to form the hollow disc in his other.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's kind of getting that into a rough, almost hot air balloon shape. And then he's going to add the Murrine, and then he's going to finish shaping out the disc. So I thought we'd start this off with like a cool Murrine encasement technique. The piece that's in the neck was already done when he got to Glass Vegas, but like I said, I happened to be one of Grimm's students, and this is exactly what he taught in that class, was Murrine encasement techniques. He taught us how to do them very simply, like was in that neck, because it's just a standard tube. And then he taught us how to do it on marbles in different shapes. Like crazy shit, like genius shit. If you ever have the chance to learn with this guy, I'm telling you, like, jump on that. He doesn't seem to teach very often either. Like over the years, I've been like, damn, I was so glad I took that class with him. Like Kiva Ford is another one. It's like, man, some of these guys just don't teach that often. If you see somebody who you really respect teaching,
I think Grimm had a class at the Glasscraft and Bead Expo last year, right? But
No, he was supposed to have one this year, but they scheduled it like a week before, and not enough people signed up. So
oh, okay, okay.
yeah, I mean, it was kind of a crazy idea, like, because he was like, "Well, if I'm there to demo, let's see if we can get a class booked." But it was
Well, for future reference, then.
right for future reference. It might happen next year. Um, so yeah, guys, as you guys saw, he got that lens glass really nice and hot, and the milli chip pre-warmed, and then bam, hit it. And now he's kind of just gently cooking this in, and marvering it down so that it's got a flush surface to be sealed to that disc. So that was it's just neat, like there's a lot of different ways to encase Murrine, and so it's really cool to see him do it a different way. And there he goes, sealed that chip on.
Whew.
And if you guys haven't seen this piece, I feel like all of you should have, but if not, it's a borosilicate Murrine made furnace style with Marcel Braun out of the Starship. Huge shout outs to him and Jessica Boggs and Hinun, man, our fucking boy, helps us run the group out there putting in. They call him Hinun. They call him the lifted man because
That's
he
right.
goes up in the lift, and they do pulls with like a what kind of lift is that, Carrie?
Not a forklift, but
It's like one of those
lift.
lifts that they use
You
on
know.
job sites or whatever. I know I'm totally spacing on the right name for it. It's so
I
silly of
used to
me.
ride those up into the winery towers of all the barrels.
Yeah,
A lift,
yeah, but they
a
put out some like
platform lift. There we go.
yeah, they put out collector card stickers with some of the people who are like regular Starship crew members. So I've got
That's
one of
awesome.
those. It's like on my paddleboard actually. Yeah, so Hinun's is the lifted man.
The
And it's got a
lifted
great
man.
yeah, it's got a great picture of him, all decked out in the spaceship gear, and pulling the thing from above. Yeah, it's amazing what they do out there. If you guys aren't familiar, trust me, it's a starship in every garage. Is their
Is he
social
stripping clear
media.
off the end here? He
Yeah, he's
embedded that,
cleaning
and
up
now
that
he's
lens, and yep, now he's taking it down to just the amount of lens that he wants. And this is just a straightforward image. He doesn't want much lens on there. It's not like one of these eye canes where I massively distort it to make it look good on in my web store or whatever. No, I'm just playing. That's how they look when you lens them, but
I
I
lens them with 1 inch blobs.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
an eighth of an
exactly
inch.
right.
Yeah.
No, no, I've got a technique that allows me to get as clean an image as I can, and yeah, but they're just the standard lenses I do for anything. But yeah, at that point he was just very carefully cleaning that lens off. The advice I can really give there is like if you're new to these milli things, like don't rush into everything at once. Don't be afraid to like let the piece kind of cool down so that there's much less heat in the chip, and then go in on the lens, and then you're not like bleeding heat back into an area that was just hot, so it'll be easy to reheat. Let things cool down. After I lens the milli, I usually just chill out for a second, just let it cool out. Yeah, as much as I'd like to like maybe sometimes bring the punny center stuff like that, like it's just not worth it then. Just let it cool down, and then attack it more specifically. Grimm's a beast, but and then
Scissor
what's
lift, by the way. Sorry.
scissor lift? Boom, that's the
Yes.
word. Okay, thank you. Jeez, I can't believe I was spacing on that. In any event, yeah, the piece in the neck, you guys, like I'll just speculate that, and this is something you can see like in like I don't know, like Glasscraft Studio put out like a hype video for another class he taught out there, and he kind of just shows what he does, and he's just kind of got tweezer jacks, and he's got these very thin slices of milli, and he pretty much just lays them onto a tube, and they're so thin that from there he just sleeves that. So what I suspect is that this was a piece of clear. He laid that piece, like a thin piece of the Starry Night onto it, with it about as hot as it could be to not distort, and the tube hot enough to take it, and then kind of marvers that down a little bit, and then from there it's really just sleeving like you would do to any tube. And as I recall, he likes a vacuum sleeve for that. So just some thoughts about sleeving those millis, but there's like a whole nother universe to this thing that you should really learn from him, and it's nothing I'm prepared to talk about. We share a lot here, but if I take a class and somebody teaches me like this magical tricks to do sleeves on spheres and things like that, it's just not my place. Got to know where to draw the line.
Indeed.
So yeah, just taking his time to cook that in, get the lens just how he wants it.
Is he on the Champion right now?
I think he's on a GTT, as I recall. This is a GTT he was on before that crazy one he won at Las Vegas. That's another thing about Las Vegas, guys. Like, there's so many cool things going on here. There's the World Series of Glass with a ton of different categories where you can enter pieces and then potentially win.
Are you
Um,
sure that's a GTT?
oh no, that is. Sorry, you're right. My bad, my bad. Gosh, what was
Anyway,
I
I'm
just looking
sorry.
at where he was on a thing? I don't know. I
Oh,
must have
Glass
been pulling
Captain
up
beat
old
Expo. I
footage.
don't know. I just
Yeah.
mentioned it because we were talking about Bravo or Bethlehem in the chat.
Well, I'm thoroughly confused now.
It's okay. It'll come back.
Yeah, no, that might be a grand. Is that the three stage there?
Hmm. It was.
Yeah, that would be the grand then. And it looks like a sharp flame grand because it's got the red scroll base logos on it. It's a
Okay.
sharp flame, yeah, so we can zero in on that. I think here he's just separating the handle now from the back. Here's more proof for my theory that ballers use colored punnies, dogs. Don't,
Oh, has he got a colored pony?
It is, yeah, it's like some kind of light cobalt. I'm sure it was just because he didn't happen to have clear, and sometimes it's easier to just run down to like the ABR booth or whatever than, find clear if you didn't bring it.
So striking cobalt then?
I
Because
don't
it
think
almost
so.
looks like clear.
Yeah, it's
It's
probably
like
just
where
the
it,
that
yeah.
that's the thing is that it like the cheapest glass is like usually cobalt, and then
Okay.
light cobalt is the watered down cobalt, so it's usually the absolute
Gotcha.
cheapest glass. So he's probably like, give me a pound of your the cheapest glass, cheapest color, because they don't generally bring clear glass to these events.
Right.
And ABR and them, they usually bring like a pound each of a ton of different colors, and then maybe some of the more popular or hyper ones they'll bring a few more, but which for me is rough because sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to get color for Millie, but these days for these pulls, I'll do like a. Oh, what's going on over there, Carrie?
Yeah, my phone wasn't really muting.
Anyways, and this is something that we saw in that Beat Expo demo. At the way he pulls glass away and tears it open. He kind of gets it hot, and then he does a lot of the pulling outside of the flame, lets it cool down a little. And this one was a little different because he's just trying to open this into like a hollow disc with an open end, but you'll see it on every hole that he opens for an Encomo in the tube that we're about to see get built. Um, and for the joint, like he's always removing material there. He's never, just taking a tiny hole and widening it all up for no good reason, adding a bunch of extra wall weight there. It's always done in this very controlled way where, if you want to have that clean seal, you do have to remove the material, instead of just, reaming it all open and adding all that extra weight to the wall. That's just more glass to deal with in the seal, and the odds of it looking optically right and even being as strong as it could be, it just all goes down. If it's going to be super thick, it needs to be done in a really controlled way, not just this extra wonk where the wall weight goes from 2 millimeters to 6, all of a sudden. And that's a stress point in the glass. Don't do that. Whatever. I think here he's going to add some posts for it to go onto the Minitube. And this is just like a really cool disc that's hanging out on the back of the Minitube. And from here, you guys, like, oh man, this demo is really hot. Grimm, he knows what the fuck he is doing. It's like you could trust the example, so to speak. And we're about to see him, the Encomo work and the assembly, the way it all comes together, and yeah, everything about this is really nice and just really properly done. So yeah, this was another one of these things where like, man, It was a treat to edit. So he's just cooking those posts in and making nice little nubs. That'll then be easy to seal onto the back of the piece. And you won't have to worry about anything on the other side, so to speak. Just making the connection to the piece. All right. So I don't know if TSA was a little rough with it or if he just identified something he wasn't happy with. But when the neck came out, he wasn't like exactly happy about something that he saw, and he wanted to like re-cook that neck in instead of just scrapping this piece because he really didn't have whatever he needed to do a whole nother one. And I don't think it was like a catastrophic thing. I think he just might have saw some kind of cracking or something. So what we're gonna see him do, like the neck was already pretty much done. It had that nice millie in it and all that, and now he's gonna handle up, and we're gonna see him just really rework the whole middle. And I could have left this on the cutting room floor, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, nobody's perfect, and sometimes after you pull that neck down, you might need to do this, even if it's not due to TSA fucking it up or for whatever reason. Sometimes you're gonna need to do this in your glassy life, or you're gonna need to have a seconds piece, or you're gonna have to sell something that's not proper or
Look at
whatever.
that slick Chad Lacey in the background.
Yeah, Chad Lacey, dog, fucking there it is. I think we were even talking about this on the show one day because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pop up my file footage picture of Snoop Dogg or whatever, because they do seem to shop
That's
at
right.
the same place.
That's right.
Yeah.
They got a coupon code.
Yeah, my man was looking fresh to death.
420 doggy style gets you 5% off if
Yeah,
you beg for it.
Trying to tell Carrie about that, but I couldn't find a picture. Finally, when I was editing the footage today, I was like, yes, there he is. And I exported a screenshot and sent it to Carrie. Like, yeah, check out my man, Chad Lacey. But yeah, basically, I think he wants to just kind of condense this glass a bit, puff it out, and just make sure it's all really happy before he proceeds. It doesn't take long, but just, watch the way he works here and, checks his rotation every now and then. It's really methodic work here, keeping this thing as even as possible. And then he'll use the Marver to kind of help reset that into a really clean and straight tube neck, this is cool to see regardless of how you do it, Sometimes you pull something down and there's just a little bit of that taper or this or that, and maybe you need to adjust the length. For whatever reason, it's awesome to see him do this. In addition to the World Series of Glass, there's also the Boro Derby going on. Usually Bishop's Tea House or whatever. You sit down with homie and just get tea and listen to stories.
I went to the free photo booth. I thought that was pretty cool. I saw those photos that I took. They have little costumes that you can wear, and it's totally free photos. And yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I'll have to send you the photos.
Incredible educational thing every year. This past year's one I know a lot of y'all saw was Scott Deppy. If you didn't, it's on our channel. There's a playlist for every event. I might need to add this one to the Las Vegas one, but generally speaking, if you go to playlists, you'll find kind of an easy guide to every event's cache of footage or whatever. But yeah, just putting that dank heat into this thing, that's just the truth. The more even the heat, if even heat and even rotation, from there it's, it's not like it's rocket science. It's just the steps. If one of them is off, it's kind of easy to identify where things go wrong, You almost got to be like that. Those dudes who like watch their golf swing in slow motion or whatever. Kind of can generally see exactly which thing it was that put you off the mark. So they're just using the marver. We see this in a number of steps with Grimm, where he's kind of cooling the outside and then maybe giving it a puff, to even the inside out. And that's just a really great speed for that, or a great order of operations, because once the outside is a little more cool, the inside wall is still potentially a little bit hotter, and when you blow into it, it's like inflating a balloon in there. And whatever, if there's anything that's uneven, it's like it's getting pushed into a more even form from the inside, and the outside is going to resist it and want it to go back into that tubular shape. Whereas if the outside is still hot, they're just going to move together, so to speak. So it's a way to really even out that inner wall, which is going to make for a happier piece of glass, and especially with something like this where it's got this milli that's been sleeved into it. You don't want any weirdness or wonk. And so Harry was inspecting this thing with this absolutely incredible Murrine in it, just to make sure it looked all happy and healthy and ready to go, which it was. So yeah, sometimes these things happen and you just got to rework a section, but fail boldly or whatever, or nail it, as Grimm said. I may have wonked that up a little, but you get the idea. He did say to fail boldly, so it's like, got you there, dog.
All right, dude.
Yeah.
I could do this.
Yeah. Finally. Finally, a step of this I can duplicate. No, just blame. And here again, guys, he's just always like taking this time to remove material when the hole is opened, and allowing that to have a nice crisp rim that's going to want to happily seal to another piece of glass. With these seals, any type of seal really, but especially this type of almost a butt seal or whatever you want to call it, where it's ass to ass,
so the
or whatever. Yeah. I mean, they just need the wall weight of the connections need to be even. The hole needs to be nice and round, and everything needs to be flush and flat. And so, like, if you just imagine like two pieces of tubing that have been sawed open, or one piece of tubing that's been sawed into two, like when you put those two things together, the diameter is identical, the wall weight is identical, perfectly flush. That's ideal. That's what you're always aiming for. And another thing we see, I think we were just talking about this last week, is this notion of when you push material down. So like when he opens these holes, occasionally there's a little bit of extra material or whatever, and you'll always see him kind of push that down when it's hot a little further back. And it's something I just like to hit on, because it's like if you just heat up the lip of the glass and then push, it's just going to make for a wonky ass lip. Whereas if it's hot a little bit further back, that glass will just kind of have a place to go, and it'll absorb a lot cleaner and cook in a lot faster, and get you back to that like really crisp hole that you want. So, and there's some footage later where he's like doing the base, I believe. So it's another like black piece of glass with the crushed opal, and there you can just see the bands of heat so clearly. So just look forward to that, and we'll talk about it again. But yeah, if you're gonna mash glass in like that, like, it just always needs to have somewhere to go. So think about that. Always heat just a little bit further back. Give that glass a home or whatever. And this is the piece of glass that's going to form like the middle of the can or whatever. So this is going to get sealed to that top part, to the neck or whatever, and then it'll kind of have some really awesome shaping done on that Encomo line, so it has that nice shaping that you see in the thumbnail or whatever, where it's got almost a Maria at the top. So that piece that we just saw him open will go from this round ball to this flat disc shape once it's attached to this can, and then the bottom will be done in a really cool way where he's able to put it on there and then kind of cook that all into the base, so it's got this black section there forming that. Same type of shape on the base there. And yeah, I think he's just cooking that in. The glass looked like maybe he coil potted this up, but he knows he's going to be reshaping it so much. It's like he knows, got to know when to hold him and when to fold him or whatever kind
I
of
was
thing.
just gonna break into song.
Big shout outs to Naked HD, flooding our chat room right now. We'll look at porn later, damn it. Gosh.
I know. I've removed him from the channel like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah. Here's another example, guys, of the way that he opens these holes for these Encomo seals, or essentially any seal that we see him do. He's always taking this time to really drag that material out and heat that specific spot on the end. And it doesn't matter if it takes him 5 or 6 steps, like it's just, this is an elegant way to really thin a very specific area out. And then when it opens, it's just got this really crisp rim that is going to make for a good and happy seal. And, I mean, it's like a good time to bust into the Mike Nan 40-40-20 spiel, which is essentially Mike Nan is a merged scientific. He's one of the best glass blowers alive, in my opinion. Does absolutely massive scale scientific stuff. And he taught a class where he taught me to use the lathe, and really he did like a 4-way Klein type of thing on the lathe, taught us all the seals. It was a ridiculous class. But what he taught us was kind of this basic idea for seals, which he called 40-40-20. And it's this math that adds up to 100. And it breaks the seal down into a few steps. And the idea is that if you don't get 40% or whatever you want to call it on the first step, you will then have to do that work in the next step. So now if you only did half your work in the first step, now you got 60 in the next step. And if you don't really get it cleaned up there, then now your 20% of final work could be a whole lot more. And what you're seeing right now, where he's get prepared the seals and he's about to do the initial tack, that's your first 40% of the work. And then when he actually seals them, that should be the next step. And you'll see him actually puff the seal out. That would be the second 40. And then the last 20% is just whatever you have to do to clean it up. It should be very quick. Now this kind of applied to like sealing tubes and declines and stuff like that. So it's like that last cleanup step is when you're going around with a hand torch, and giving it that final little puffery or whatever. In this case, it's a little different because I'm not sure there's like a cleanup step with the hand torch and a seal like this, because he's gonna like shape this bad boy out kind of as he's doing it. But that's the rough idea, is that like you need to get those holes round. You need to get those holes to have a nice even wall, and you need those holes to have a flush opening so that when they seal together, one part's not like protruding out a little bit and, fucking the seal up. And yeah, man, and then if you've done where he got right to about now, where you're actually sealing it in and then giving it that initial heat to make the seal happy, bam, another 40%. And he's really not going to clean it up so much as immediately proceed into some shaping. But it's a fun methodology, and it's something I think about whenever I'm doing a seal, just to make sure I've got all those little steps nailed.
Interesting chat going on.
We have an alien with us tonight. This is awesome.
Yeah, and Louis Theroux's song is making a...
Oh yeah, my boy. I've been trying to tell people about Louis Theroux for years. I'm like, yo, he's this dope journalist. You gotta check it out. And then all of a sudden, he's famous for this
TikTok
song. Yeah, man, about
TikTok's
his money.
where it's at.
folding and not jingle jingling or whatever. And it's so funny, man. It's like, oh my gosh, I tell people about this guy every now and then, and nobody ever knows. And now he's famous as a rapper, apparently. So,
That's right.
yeah. Never know what directions life will take you in. I'm one TikTok away from my own rap career, is what I've learned.
Oh, it's a good idea. We could start this trend.
My glass don't tinkle tinkle, it blows blows.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you, thank you.
Aliens are featuring prominently in chat.
Okay, word.
Night Owls from the future. He's hiring glass blowers for the aliens.
Yeah, this is a bad example. It's just all drug pipes and pornography.
Well, that's what sells in the future.
Look at this, starting to set some nice shaping here and kind of make sure that he's got. Before he goes in to do any more shaping on it, I think he just giving it that extra rounding on the marver there is doing just what we were talking about before, setting that outer wall in this really proper round shape, and then it gives him a chance to kind of puff the inner wall and make sure it's really happy. And it reminds me of something that like I learned from Matt Skookie, and he's actually like one of my very first teachers. And what you'll see him do, if you're not familiar with Matt Skookie, he makes like replications of like Sprite bottles and Coke cans and all that.
That look like
I mean,
garbage
they look just
plastic.
like it. They're
Yeah,
shaped
totally.
incredibly properly. And a lot of his work is done with this China white tubing. And what he explained was that this China white tubing, it often has cords in it. And this is like OG China white tube. This stuff, it works generally buttery. It just might not have the most perfect wall weight. And for what he's trying to do, he's working pretty thin and he's doing really fine kind of movements. It's how he gets a lot of these crisp edges. Like I'm not trying to, I don't know, I feel like I'm almost saying something negative. It's like if you look at like the ones he makes for pipes where it's like a lot thicker and the shaping is not quite as precise. Like the ones that he does like for like a museum piece where he's using like thin China white glass, like they are fucking crisp. And I just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've just seen the wrong examples, but I just think that the ones that are a little like thicker, like they're still awesome. They still hit every note that they're supposed to. There's just a little less crispness in those edges. And in any event, where I'm trying to get to with that is that what Matt does, because he says that this China white tubing he really uses for a lot of his work has these like cords in it or whatever. He actually will go through and twist the tube up and puff it out and then regather it. And he'll go through an entire section of tubing that he's going to use and bring it. It's almost essentially the same when he's done, but he has twisted by kind of heating it up, puffing it out, and then regathering it. The section of tubing is much more even. And for this incredibly specific shaping that he does, he explained that that's advantageous and it just makes the glass work much better. In this case, we're talking about something a little differently, but we're getting to the same notion that glass that is really even on the inside and the outside, that's when you kind of have the chance to like reapproach it, and with even rotation and even heat, you're going to puff out that even section and then be able to press that even shape. And if part of the wall is a little thinner, like how do you mitigate that? Like if you can notice it, you can kind of work around it a little bit, don't get me wrong, but this notion of making the tube as even as possible before you start doing nice shaping, it's something to tuck away. And Sometimes it might be even something to consider if you get, you buy some tubing from a company and maybe the wall's just the slightest bit uneven. Just roll through it, twist, give it a little bit of a twist, and regather and bring it back. And just work the way through the tube. It'll take 10 minutes or whatever, but if you're really trying to nail a specific shape, especially shaping by hand, this is the type of thing. I think he was just trying to like reinforce that beautifully round shape on the outer wall, and then maybe that last bit of a puff, and just make sure that everything is extra even. And any step you can do to work towards that goal before you actually start doing the big boy moves or whatever is going to make your life a lot easier. So, all right. So we got an incredibly even, beautiful Encomo seal here. He still hasn't done the shaping on that black, but it's like it's to a good stopping or pausing point or whatever. The homie's got a Bunsen out. I expect we're going to see Bunsens a lot more often. Um, gives a lot more often. Um, gives a chance to kind of also hit like a reset button. Put a nice even heat back into the whole thing and potentially proceed. A lot of times he was using it briefly before he even went back in the kiln, just to make sure it was like, kind of give it. I don't know. I mean, feels like it must be happier getting a little bit of warmth while it's in his hands than just going in while part of it's super cold and part of it's super hot.
Like, imagine it keeps a nice even heat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'd like to see one of those videos with the pyrometer, thermometer, whatever it is, showing all the heat and the flames while the glass is, being worked. See how the glass measures in the Bunsen and then when it goes back in the flame, and
That'd be cool.
it would be.
I'll have to potentially do this myself because I've got a laser temperature gun and a Bunsen burner.
Ooh.
And we've actually got other Bunsens in the shop too, man. I can probably put the shop mates on and we can kind of test each one. I understand the Mad Hatter Bunsen I got is a little cooler than um, like a Carlisle Bunsen or a Blast Shield. People were saying their Carlisles and Blast Shields will bend 4 mil rod, whereas the Mad Hatter is apparently a little more gentle. How about that slice in the neck, man? That Murrine is so fucking cool. Absolutely epic project. And if you guys, man, if you didn't click the homie's Instagram in the video description, check that shit. He is currently working on The Scream in a similar type of process, and absolutely
Nice.
epic. And here we go. So he's doing this pretty much all vertically, kind of allowing maybe gravity to be his friend. And also, what I notice is that anytime you go vertical, you really have a better view of if things are centered or not. Like trying to view it from the side on can be a little deceptive. When you go vertical, I think you've got a better view. And I think that might be one of the reasons he likes to switch to that view when he's initially puffing it out and pushing that shape down. So just something to think about was the verticality of the way he pushed that. And then also really cool thing to note is the way he used that marver and the edge of it to reinforce this extra crisp line at the intersection of that tube and the neck now that it was pushed out. Just these little steps can make such a difference in like how crisp a piece looks. So just something to note there. is going back to vertical again. I really do think that gives you like the best view if everything is really straight and centered. And this is kind of his last chance to move those things around without it, really having to do some surgery. He'd be like, "Nah, Mike, I forgot my earplug for the Bluetooth, so I was just doing it. No, I'm just playing, but
He would never say it.
I don't know.
And not like that. That's not a Grimm accent, baby.
All right. Got to work on my Grimm, y'all.
I did a quick Google search for thermal imaging cameras, and the one that I found that was cheap and affordable only measures to like 330 Celsius, which is 5 something Fahrenheit.
Yeah, we don't need a camera. We can just laser gun it. Which
Yeah,
was
but a
something
camera would
Scott.
be cool.
Yeah, it was something Scott Deppie mentioned that he actually has on the bench for like all of his lathe
That's
guys
right.
at
Yeah.
Mothership. Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting like tip that he shared. Because he was talk. Somebody asked him like, "Why does glass crack?" He was like, "Because it's not hot enough." And his theory essentially is that you can get away with almost anything if it's hot enough. And so he's given everybody who works for him a laser temperature gun, and they're supposed to use it to check and make sure the piece is above that 1050 or whatever before they go back into it and such. And now doing some shaping on the can there. A really amazing time at Glass Vegas. There's live painters on both sides of the stage, usually two artists demonstrating at once. It's quite the spectacle they put on, and for a few years now there have been two stages. So there's like two huge rooms of booths, and each stage terminates in an area with a stage. It really is an awesome show. Even if you don't have a booth, if you're not out there to make money, it's still a pretty amazing time just to come out for it because there's just so many people there, and the bar down on the first floor of the hotel, the Bally's there, and it's always packed with glass homies every time you get back from whatever it is you're doing. It's an amazing time. Yeah, huge shout outs to Amy Short, Leanne Short, everybody else involved in putting on this amazing event.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah, they really do. They do an amazing job with the Glasscraft and Beat Expo as well. They've been doing that for what, 25 years now? So they'd already been
Yeah,
doing
I
that
think
for
that's
about,
right.
yeah, they'd already been doing that for about 20 years before they got into this side of it, kind of the functional world. And it showed, they really hit the ground running. And I mean, now it's crazy to walk into it. And like I said, just two huge rooms and so many people. And it's been an awesome thing to watch evolve, and just so fucking lucky and honored to be able to share this with you guys. It really is a special time, and we're going to be bringing the new methodology next year for sure, one way or another. Either you guys will be live right with me on my camera, kind of with my phone attached to my camera, so it'll just follow around when I'm filming. Or more likely, I think I've got a buddy. I'm not ready to put him out there yet, but That's somebody I will dig, and who I think will do a great job at at keeping you guys entertained while we,
Hosting a
we,
live Las Vegas
yeah, exactly.
stream on the Torch Talk channel.
That's a different thing when you got to chat with the dogs for like 8 hours or whatever. Las Vegas won't be as crazy. Be
I
more
mean,
like
you
four
know,
or
if people
five,
are
but
there and wanting to watch and chilling, then you just keep hanging
yeah,
out. So,
yeah. But Carrie set the bar so damn high. I've now got to I really got to make sure I've got a great host for you guys.
right, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Carrie, I was trying to compliment you. Gosh.
Oh, thank you. It wasn't the fact that it was you, Sheen, and Job and Rhino, and
I don't know those names.
never heard of him.
Never heard of them.
It was totally because Carrie was hosting.
No, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about, though.
I
I'm not
know.
talking about the content. It's more about the fact that we have a good host who's there to engage the
I mean,
audience and
clearly it
engage with the
was because I
artists.
was there
And
that so many people were hanging out.
yeah,
Obviously.
it's
Yeah.
not something everybody would really want to do or be cut out for, you know. That's why I don't do it, you know. I'd just be like, oh, Chris Farley show up there, you know. I'd be like, Grimm, do you remember when you encased that Murrine? Th- that was cool, or whatever.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Mike, that was cool. That was cool. I do remember that. Sorry, that cadence was too fast for Grimm. It should have been slower.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you guys can really start to see the shape taking form here. And he's now opening up a hole where this nice big old chunk of that black with the crushed opal is going to go on and match. And this is such an awesome part to see because even if you do, even if you just take what you learned here tonight and make really simple, basic, clear kind of rigs or whatever, like this is exactly how you would want to go about adding a little reversal to the bottom. I mean, reversal might be small, so you'd open a smaller hole, but you get the idea. Is like you get it to about this point, and then you're going to basically encalmo that into the base, and just watch how the man handles this because it's really cool to see. I think we're going to see him actually make the section for that first. Just taking a section of tubing that probably already had something pulled off of it and that sort of vibe. Just evening it out. Again, giving it that roll, you know, and then that puff. I really think there's something to be said for that idea of like cooling the outer surface and then taking that extra time to give that extra puff so that the inside, even though you can't see it, you just know it's going to be happier for having done that. After, you know, it's still got that heat soaked in, but this outer surface is like I said, it's just gotten the Marver treatment, so it's really round and it's a little cooler. So it'll act like the structure to resist. I really think it's not the best analogy, but I like this idea of like if you inserted a balloon into something. If you think of it like that, you guys, for me, I find it visually beneficial, that notion of like the outside. It's almost like a sewer pipe, you know, and it's got like shit growing on it, you know, and then you put something in there. If you blew it out, the shit would all compress against the tube and even out, you know, as much as it could by being pushed out, right? I'm not good at these analogy things.
Sewer pipe.
I'm gonna keep working on that. Well, I saw this video the other day. It's about this thing where like pipes, like they go bad in houses and such,
Okay.
and like it would be too expensive to remove and replace the pipe. So what they do is they insert this liner, and then they basically run this balloon through it to make the liner compress out to the shape of the tube, and it's got some kind of shit in it that when it gets wet, it becomes like an epoxy. So it
Okay.
completely seals the tubes again, so that these tubes and houses that are fucked up and old, or maybe even poisonous, they can be used again without having to like do a ludicrous amount of work to the house. So
Right.
anyways, I don't know. That
Okay.
example was fresh in my mind of this like
Okay.
balloon being forced through a tube, you know?
It's like, wow,
But
there's
like
a
but that's
heavy plumber demographic here,
right,
apparently.
right. Like I didn't know Mike was so into plumbing. Whatever.
Like literal plumbing.
But I don't know. I really like that idea of like a balloon going into the tube and acting on the walls evenly, because that's what your breath is doing. It's the same thing when like for example Cesare Toffolo's teaching like how to blow out a foot, and when he wants to make this squat bubble, um in order to make the inner wall kind of form properly as he pushes it, he's always capping the blow tube, and that's allowing the balloon to stay inside the tube as he
You're
pushes.
using your epoxy breath.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I'm a visual dude. This notion of the balloon inside and how it reacts when the outer surface is cold, or even when it's hot. It's just a matter of not having it there or having it there. So, like in the example of blowing out that squat bubble for the foot, if it were open, there would be nothing to press against the on the inside. There'd be nothing there, and it might form fine. But by having a little bit of back pressure, it like makes the inside want to kind of just push, it pushes it all in evenly. You got to talk to Cesare about that one, but
This analogy works in Venice too.
motherfucker's about to start calling me Mario Mason.
I want to see this sticker.
It's a me. All right, here we go, you guys. Look at this. Get nice even heat for that stick. Boom. And then that heat right there. That's that second 40%, after the tack has been made, just initially working that seal in. And this is one of the advantages to being 7 feet tall.
What's that?
Is that when you forget your earplug, you just reach your big ass arm down and cap it. And
Right.
yeah.
Who needs earplugs?
Yeah. Oh, Grimm the Giant and shit.
The gentle giant. Grimm the gentle giant.
Right. We need him to like come on and tell us stories about glass, so we can call it Grimm's Fairy Tales.
I love it. Oh my God. I bet he would do it. We got to pitch this to him.
We do. Sometimes a good name is all it takes.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's why everybody joined that group in Facebook. They're just like, Torch Talk? I want to talk about torches.
That sounds good.
Little did they know they were entering into my world.
We mean flashlights, right? Yeah.
Now you're mine. It's like all the guys making fun of my plumbing methodology. It's the guy named Ewing Plumbing. Thanks.
Yeah. Right? That was pretty funny.
He said, your wall weight's off. You didn't use the shit pipe balloon method, did you?
I think he was going along with your methodology. He was like reinforcing your methodology.
Grimm is somewhere doing like the Arthur fist, or whatever.
Oh, Lord.
You have literally defecated on my demo. He has a French accent when he's mad.
Okay. Le Grimm. Yeah, tuck this all away for the next time when we see him.
Yeah, and now he's just really condensing this back and kind of letting it all cook back. It's like offhand now. There's only one handle. It's always a little easier to me. But taking his time to cook that down and puff that out, and I think he'll start working heat back towards the tube here. Now that he's, because he removed all that stuff from the end, so he wants to even that back out. So it'll have there won't be like a thin spot in the bottom of the tube. We don't want that. So Now that I removed the blow tube, he needed to take a moment to recondense that section and just make sure it's even and happy. And yeah, now he's working that joint, the junction, or wherever the where the seal was made and where these two pieces of glass become one. Real nice technique there. Just kept it moving evenly as he puffed it out, kind of vibe. Man, can we just ban this motherfucker? What is going on here?
I've been trying to hide him on the channel, but I think it's a different person every time. I don't get it.
All right, gotcha. All right. This user's messages will be hidden. So you guys tell me if you
That's
can
what
still
it
see all
says.
the. Oh my god, fuck ad. Sex cheaper Tinder. I'm like, what? Oh, it's a cheaper Tinder. Never mind. I stand corrected. You guys should probably check this out.
Is Tinder, do you have to pay for that?
I think you can pay to make yourself be highlighted more or something. I don't know. Don't know how
Wow.
that works. Yeah, I'm too
Gotta
old
pay
for
to
all
play,
that.
huh? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Too old for all of that.
I meet my girlfriends at the Glass Art Society like a real man.
Exactly. Oh boy.
But I'm not kidding there, guys. There's a lot of ladies at the Glass Art Society conference, so
Glassy.
a lot of glassy ladies. That's right. Glassy ladies in your area waiting to meet.
And ladies likewise. Glassy dudes.
It's true. It's true.
Great networking opportunity.
Yep, a lot of glassy dudes. Glassy dudes who can afford to travel. So.
Check makes money.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, not to get too far from the glass, but I only have so much to add here. It's just the homie is taking his time. You see him moving through each section of this shape. And now that he kind of worked through that, now he's kind of getting it all a little bit more hot. And he can kind of start to do some bigger moves. But if he had done this earlier when it was still like a bit more of like a saddle or whatever, there's this like gap between. The dude's a boss. It probably would have gone okay. But there really is something to be said for the way that we saw him proceed through that. Type name here says YouTube has really declined in stream quality. I don't know. Right? That's so
I've
sad
got
to hear.
1440.
Yeah, we're currently broadcasting in 2K tonight. Again, my dogs. It is the poor man's 4K. But 4K streaming is problematic for a bunch of reasons. But yeah, we're actually in 2K tonight. And I actually rendered the demo from 4K to 2K. So it's like pristine. Yeah. Like it should look good. If it's not, I'm sorry.
Talk to your network provider.
Right. Yeah. My streaming software says we're gold. Like we've dropped no frames. Bitrate is perfect. Everything should be good. So it could be on your end. I don't know. In any event, and then guys, you saw that when he had all that heat into it, he went back to the Marver again and did that rounding out move to bring it back to this like perfect cylinder. And giving it the, probably taking some puffs on the inside too and really making this like so here it is again. Just making this a super even section so that when it kind of pushes down to form the base, it's just all going to happen evenly. And like these steps are kind of, they just might be the difference between pushing the base and getting a little bit of an oval shape or whatever, and getting this really nice, having it be the, this nice round thing that you want it to be. So even though that bottom is going to get pushed out quite a bit here, he's still in the middle here, taking the time to, like, cylindrify it or whatever. Mario Mason couldn't afford the 4K. Bet I just hide this user from the channel. No, just playing.
Oh, watch out, you mean.
Just playing.
I
That's a
mean,
good one.
he's a plumber. He makes all the money, right? You can totally afford that.
Trust me, these Comcast business bastards charge me $130 a month for this extremely high quality bandwidth. It's yeah, no, the house that I'm
Crazy.
in is just not wired for all the fiber, and Comcast business has me locked into a brutal contract for like another year.
Yeah, but that's not affecting the streaming quality. That's just your upload, download time.
No, it's just to say that I could actually get 4K for like $75 a month if it were all ready to run to the property, and if Comcast business
Gotcha,
didn't have me by
gotcha.
the balls. So just trust me, your boy can afford 4K. It's one of the reasons I could really use your support, guys. I'm not kidding. Even the internet. It's like I bought a business internet account because I wanted to have, highly reliable internet, so that when I'm live, there's no games. My traffic
Well,
is
no, there are games
prioritized.
too, but
We
that's
play
after the
games,
show.
but yeah, it's just one of the million little expenses. And it really does. And, it's not to get into anything like that, but like inflation hitting your boy too. And it's like, I'm not charging anybody anymore for anything. And, the travel expenses and all that, it's hitting me harder this year. It really is. That's, not to make a big deal of it. But if you guys appreciate this content and you got a fiver for your boy, man, please jump on that Patreon. I could really use the help. And I work very hard. Carrie works very hard. We both take time out of the studio to do this. Just today, man, whole day editing this special for you guys. I'm not trying to. I'm no hero or nothing. It's just please recognize that this takes a lot of work, and if you're in the position to support and appreciate it, it really would mean a lot. It helps me keep this mission from Glass God going.
Mainly is getting all Randy in chat.
Yeah. There's also a donation button on the front of the channel, you guys.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah, man. You ever just get some random inheritance and you want to kick us $5,000? You can just click that button and do it. It's like no problem.
Sweet. Where
Yeah,
do I
man.
where do I tell
Totally.
people to go for this?
Yeah. Yeah. Just kidding, but yeah, no, it really is. We put a lot into this and take a lot of time, and it just you everybody. I feel bad for asking because it's like I get it. Everything for everybody is so much more expensive right now. Gas, all of it, and yeah, it's hitting me too. And not being able to spend the day making 10 nice spacey spoons or whatever it'll be, and it hits my pocket. It really does. So if you guys could throw a fiver at your boy or whatever, I would not complain. I would be very appreciative, in fact.
And you guys get a lot of previews into things
Yeah,
that are gonna be on the show, but just aren't there yet. So
it's true. It's true. Yeah, the whole another part of the Yushin thing is up, making a really gorgeous hand formed joint.
you can watch it with Billy Strings in the background, so you don't have to listen to us talk over it.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
playing. I know you
Yeah,
guys
but
like
I
that
don't
too.
know. I'm not trying to make a Netflix for Glass over there, but yeah, no, the
Uh-huh.
homies who can pitch in a little bit, I try and drop them the dank heat as fast as I can. So yeah, Ross asks, "How do you make any money?" And I'm just like, "Man, no, I'm not making any money. Every time we do this, it costs me money. I'm not upset. I love what I do. I'm the luckiest dude, and to have the doors open and all of that, like it's no problem. It's just, yeah, at the end of the day, man, no, we're not making money here.
Well,
And
you sell Murrine Icane.
sure, yeah, I do. It's not really directly connected, but yeah, hey, you guys. By
Well, I
the
mean, he
way,
asked how you made money.
yeah. Oh, and how I make money in general. Yeah, it's mostly Marine K, frankly. I mean, in turn, like I said, the sponsors they cover a lot of the travel expenses, and a lot of it is just at the end of the day, no matter how tightly we budget, Every trip does still cost me some loot, so. But, I tell you, in terms of how to make money in this glass game, like, you gotta be prepared to, like, work. You need to get good at something, even if it's, like, a specific type of spoon. Um, you need to get really good at something and make a lot of them that look really nice and, and go sling them to everybody who's down to support local work. If you're in a saturated area, that's going to be a lot harder. I, I I struggle to give advice to somebody who's in like a metro area with a lot of glass workers, but even that still, there's like new shops opening all the time. There's established shops that you just need to go in and talk to them and find out what they make. The truth is that most of these shops have a guy who does this and they got a guy who does that, and we don't want to fuck with those guys. Those are our peers, those are our friends. And we don't want to go in undercutting them or the this or the that, but like you need to find something unique that you can make um and make the shit out of it. Like, and that what that boils down to is treating this like a job. I've said it before on the show, man. Like I had this realization one day because I've been in it for a little while, and I was like, man, I done fucked up and got a job, kind of thing. Because if you actually want to survive in this glass game, like you have to treat this like a job. We got out of it to sit around and burn one down and relax and listen to our tunes and all that shit. But at the end of the day, the difference is some folks are willing to work at 8 hours a day and productionize a process and get good at it. I don't know, man. There's probably different advice here. Some people might tell you not to put all your eggs in one basket or something. I'm not saying that. But at the
It's
same
not
token,
rare for an
like,
artist to have lots of different revenue streams.
right, like, yeah, I mean, if you can do multiple things well, go at it. But in the beginning, and if you're not making money, you really need to figure out what product you can make money on and make a lot of that and work very hard. This is
Oh,
the
right. But
only
I'm
way you're
just
going to
not
bust through.
specifically saying just glass blowing, like you might need to supplement your glass blowing with something else.
Yep. And by the way, guys, this is the hand formed joint. So we're seeing him do some initial setup and kind of marvering in this initial angle for the hand formed joint that he's about to make. And this pre shaping is really essential. So, Shep in the chat, Mike sounding like our OG mentor. And yeah, you guys do need to recognize that I only started doing this in 2013. So, Grimm might be the better person to ask or whatever. But at the same token, I've had a chance to observe a lot, kind of have a bit of a bird's eye view with this community, and I see who is succeeding and who is falling off, and the consistency is what's consistent there, really. No bullshit. Guy in our community, man, George Burker or whatever, man. I mean, the dude went from making shit to making gold, just like that, and it's because he works his ass off. And I can't speak to that work ethic enough, man. Reminds me of another friend of mine, man. White Fire Glass, dude. Robert White. He's one of the hardest workers I know, man. He's gotten pretty goddamn good. But even when he was just picking up, it's like he figured out what he could make really well, and set himself up for it and then, like, put the hours in. Every time I'd stop by, he'd have a whole nother, like, rack of Minitubes or the this or the that. And, I can't not speak enough to that work ethic, dogs. Like that shit. I'm not telling you to miss your sleep. All that bullshit. I'm not
You don't
telling
got
you
to
to
do that
miss.
hustle. You got to focus on
Yeah,
self-care and really focusing on
right.
what it
Like,
is that's going to make you money.
yeah. Like, I'm not one of these dudes who advocates for like an unhealthy grind. I really don't believe in that. I don't think that's good for anybody long term. Um,
It's really wearing.
but
Yeah,
like,
it's
you
not
need to
good.
treat this shit like a job, and you need to get that 8 hours of real work every fucking day. whatever it is you make, even if it's just like basic chillums or like, don't get me wrong, man. I'm gonna be real. Some of the bottom end of this market is like, I mean, just between competition and availability of import and this and that, like some of this market is kind of gone. Like you need to take a moment, like to, really get some fundamentals down and then like find something cool that you like. Find something you enjoy making. Find something you can put on your piece that just makes it stand out on the shelf. And then crank the fuck out. Like there's no like I don't know what else to say other than like there's simply no excuse for fucking like I said, it doesn't need to be 16 hours a day. I do not advocate whatsoever missing, you need to get 8 hours of sleep. Like all this stuff. Like but don't ever bullshit around about giving 8+ hours a day in the shop. If you want to be serious about this, you need to be probably doing 12. Take a day off here and there, man. Don't miss time with your family. Don't lose sight of your friends. Reminds me of something Micah Evans talked about at Melt many years ago. That very first Melt. He was talking about how the first 10 years in glass go by just like that. And I'm feeling it because I'm about to hit that 10-year mark. Started in 2013. But what he was advising against was to not have like glass blinders on. Because he was like, man, 10 years of your life will go by just like that. Here, check out Grimm working out the opening of this joint. All of this turning out so clean is because he opened the hole so clean. And really took all the steps we've been talking about. I'd be repeating myself if I explained why again. So I don't feel bad about talking through it, but we do need to take a moment to acknowledge how fucking dank that move was. And again, it's like that type of opening on the joint, it's because he opened the hole really cleanly and the tube is even. If you don't have those steps in place, it doesn't, like, oh, I pushed a Murrine and it was off. Well, maybe your handle was off. You know what I mean? There's always a reason. Glass is like math. Some people will like reject that notion to like their core, but I'm telling you guys, this is like no different than working a piece of 3D modeling software. Once you actually work out the variables, and I don't know, man. I'm doing my best to like harp on what I actually think those variables are and all that. I hope you guys dig.
40, 40, 20.
But yeah, the one thing that's most important is hard work, man. Jason Gordon, Live Free. Really nice guy. He's got a demo up on YouTube about how to make like the best foot pedal for vacuum pedal with a foot pedal for glass. He's such a humble dude because he's genuinely talented. But I remember him talking about this when I learned from him. I took a couple classes with him actually, man. The dude has oh man, if you get a chance to learn with Jason Gordon, don't fuck around, dude. He brings like he used to put on a festival in upstate New York or whatever, man, called Live Free. Spectacular time. And he tries to bring that experience, I think, to his classes, and they're beautiful. Anyways, what I was getting to was that he's like I said, man, he's too humble. But he's like, man, I'm not good at glass. Or whatever. He's like, I just practiced a lot.
Great. Oh, wait.
Yeah, no. He would never say that. He
know.
is great.
He is, but he would never
really
say it.
is. Like, huge shout outs to Jason Gordon. A really cool dude and always up to cool stuff. But yeah, man, and he hits that same note. It's just like, man, you don't have to be the best at this. We all can't be like Ryan Fit, or whatever. But yeah, you can, in fact, you do have total control over how many hours you put in a day and how hard you work, when you have those hours. And yeah, that was really clean joint shaping. It really neat to pay attention to where he had the heat when he was going in with the joint reamer. Shep in the house. Good to see you, man. R2 Data in the house. My boy Robert. Fuck yeah, good to see you, bud. I was giving the homies secret hints that you might be the homie who will help us with Las Vegas, even though I
Were
shouldn't be
you? I
talking
didn't
about it
hear any
just
of
yet.
those hints.
Yeah, yeah. He's the guy I was talking about, y'all. My boy. Making the funniest fucking memes to crack everybody up. Almost every fucking day.
It's hard
It's a
work.
vibe. It's a vibe I really appreciate. Mainly because I see it in myself, you know. But no, I mean, I really do appreciate like him and Jim Ryder. Like these dudes take time out of their day to like make everybody laugh because same I feel for the same reason I do because like that shit makes me fucking smile when I know we've given everybody a little bit of a escape from the drudgery of the 12 hours a day I'm telling you to put on that damn torch. So and
We're
here's
here to
where
distract you.
yeah, and just pay attention, dogs, the way he opened this hole. And maybe it's not open yet. The way he's going to open this hole. But it's like this is where the joint's going to go. It's going to be one that has like an inserted down stem, I take it. It's just here he's taking his time to heat this, to spot heat this area and then pull the material out. It's just a different approach to how he's doing it when he's, got a simple piece and he can just do it easily. But here now he's got to like spot heat this stuff. And then he's going to start pulling it away and open it up. Preston Hanna has this really great OG Glasscraft webinar. The Flow owns those now. They're like $89, and then you get lifetime access. It's a pretty cool deal. But he talks about these ring seals, and like he's like, I used to do construction, and whenever we'd open like a hole in drywall or whatever, there'd always be like this piece of drywall sitting on the ground. And I think that's a great analogy. Like whenever you open a hole, there should be as much material as was in the space in the hole on the ground or whatever. And if you don't do this, like I was saying earlier, you're just pushing all this extra glass to the wall. And the happiest glass is even. So when you add these drastic differences in wall weight at the seal, you're just asking it to pop on you the second it gets cold or anything goes wrong, so to speak. In theory, it should survive that. But, especially in the beginning, it's like these are easy things to avoid. There's technicalities that are more, intricate to discuss. It's just, these are some of the easiest ones. Yeah, Shep, come on, dog. Just playing. I still can't do ring seals clean. Trust me, homie. Open that hole up to where whatever you're putting in is barely sitting in that motherfucker. Just barely. And it's almost better if it like just tags on one side and you have to string her in a little glass versus this hole that's a little too small. And then you just end up with extra material where it has to condense down and absorb that. Just trust me.
Make it a little too big rather
try
than a
thinner
little
holes.
too small.
The other thing you can do is I like solid Marias on my downstem insertions and such. But like Elbow has a Glasscraft webinar actually, and he talks about why he prefers hollow Marias on his joints. Like if he drops a joint in one of the dinosaur rigs, from the top, like on the top of the back, he likes hollow Marias for those. It's because there's less material, and it makes for an easier and because the seal's going to be cleaner and just happen effortlessly, that's going to be a happier and stronger seal in the long run, in my opinion. So yeah, here's the homie, man. Okay, I wanted to address something I left a clip in just a moment ago. I didn't actually. I don't like. Maybe I ran to the bathroom. Maybe I was changing batteries. But at some point, I saw the homie busting out graphite tape. And if you're new to rigs or even old to rigs and never fucked with it, graphite tape, homies. Some people like to wrap the whole joint in it. Some people like to just tear a tiny bit off and insert it in with the joint, and that helps it seal in but not stick. If you wrap it all the way, this can help prevent cooking off the frost on female joints. And even with like a male joint going in, it can help that not seal if you're getting it a little too hot. Like even a move like this, you could risk accidentally tacking the male joint into the female, and the graphite tape completely prevents that. So, like I said, man, I could have just not even mentioned it, but it's like a footage not found thing. Maybe I went to the bathroom because I thought it was like a moment between steps, or maybe I was changing the battery. But either way, I saw him bust out the graphite tape, and then I didn't have him actually putting it on. But essentially, you just kind of get it to the right size of the joint, and you get it in place while you're sliding the joint in. Or, like I said, you can just take a tiny tear and kind of have it on the side of the joint. And that'll help keep the joint from sticking and kind of ensure it'll tap out later. But here we're going to seal that bad boy in. I left in pretty much any time he went to the Bunsen in full length. Partially because I had one in the past, but I just got like that Mad Hatter one. And it's a point of interest to me exactly how long they leave things in there between steps and like all of that. So I thought you guys might find that beneficial too. I don't think I was cheating on it before, but like I'd probably cut out most of them and just leave like one in and be like, this is how long you left it in there, guys. Whereas now I'm just like, no. Let's just sit here and watch the homie in the Bunsen. I don't know, man. It's like everybody who does dank work is really starting to use one, like on the bench or the lathe. I mean, we've been zeroing in on this for a long time, and it's like this year is like, wow. Everybody seems to have kind of figured out this benefit, and it just extends your time out of the kiln and ensures your piece is happier than it would be otherwise. Like even, all right, so we did the initial seal here. You guys saw he got it as hot and happy as he can at the various angles and stuck it and then kind of checked the angle. And now he's doing what's called quartering, where he just works like a quarter of the seal at a time. Something really important to notice here, you guys, that's something Mike Nan taught me, who I was talking about earlier. Notice that he is generally attacking the seal at an angle. Look at this. Instead of just drilling the seal right at the center point of the corner and just blah, 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 he's shooting the gap with the hand torch. And that gives much more control and prevents that torch from hitting anything that it shouldn't in a different way. Whereas don't get me wrong, if you just go in and straight drill it, that can be okay. Especially on like a clear seal or whatever, and you're just trying to like go around it real quick. But like I said, this is something that I learned from Mike Nan, one of the best fucking scientific glass blower. Like here he's drilling the seal. That's an example of drilling it. But what we saw a minute ago was that he was shooting the gap. And you need to learn to do both. Because there's times where just drilling it is going to inject too much heat, wonk things out, whereas shooting the gap is going to allow you to put that heat in a little more gently and make these really clean seals. So yeah, just something I wanted to note there. Alright, Mealy says there's cheap Bunsens on Amazon for $20 or less. I bet there are. You don't need to be expensive, and like they're used in all kinds of places, so you can probably find them on eBay or this or that. They're really simple. Did I just spend $200 on a really nice one with adjustable ports? Fuck yeah. But after watching Eugene and Hoobs use it for days, come on.
You were sold.
Can you blame me? But Yeah, Ewing in the chat points out drilling will boil your sensitive colors too, and that's exactly what I was getting at when I was like, yeah, if you're just on some clear seals, probably fine. But for a lot of reasons, like just think about that angle that you're using the hand torch, and it doesn't always have to be just like like we would, on a bench torch almost. You've got this option to kind of shoot gaps and use that angle to just kind of roast the edge of it, and then you can maybe blast it, when it's already hot, and if you think the inside needs it or whatever. But yeah, those hand torch angles are important. Glass Vegas, baby. It's good to see that logo. I really do love the homies who put this show on. Amy is just the biggest sweetheart in the glass game. And yeah, man, I'm so lucky to be involved with this event and to have kind of gotten in on the ground floor. And like I said earlier, man, if you weren't there when we were talking in the beginning, I know, like, I'll probably just skip that part. But I was talking about how the Glass Art Society conference, the opportunity to do the live stream for this year where they kind of flooded the lineup with pipe makers. Um, that was huge. It's a big part of why I do what I do. But I was explaining that between that, which was like in like the spring or whatever of 2017, in the meantime, two events had us out, because they enjoyed the webcam show we were doing when it was something very different than what we're doing now. I feel like the spirit is still the same, man. I just want to share cool shit with my dogs and have a good time with you guys. I feel like we've kind of we've done a good job of maintaining that. Um, but this notion of filming amazing stuff like what we're seeing now and all that began with that opportunity to film the gas conference, and East Coast Melt and Glass Vegas were the two events that kind of had me out before any of this. Before they knew there would be a show with like crisp footage and all of that. It really means the world. I was saying earlier, I hold a special place in my heart for these events.
And honestly, you guys have made that a big possibility, because if you guys weren't here, then there'd be no reason for Mike to go anywhere.
And that's the whole point, is that in the very beginning it was all about the community.
Yeah.
And now it's all about that money. No, I'm just playing. But for real, I mean that's what it is that these events, and they saw, what a kind thing had grown around this work. And that makes all the difference in the world. So maybe that's because we were bringing a kind vibe. I'd like to think, and I want to take credit for that. But no, just it really is because a kind community grew around this. Aw, Shep, thank you, man. Said Fat Mike, we'd be proud of you. If you guys don't know, that's who I apprenticed under when I first started. I'd like to think that, man. I know that we kicked it again down in North Carolina before he passed, and he was pretty stoked on how things had gone. Like, we actually had a Torch Talk party down there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's crazy that actually almost everybody at that party is dead now. Like, it's kind of fucked up, actually, when I think about it. It's making me a little sad, to be honest. Because the other person who was really important to me was Iron Lion, the fucking homie, Adam. And y'all might, old viewers of the show, might remember. This was Adam York. And he went by Iron Lion. He actually did some demos on the show, did a really cool plug demo. And when I went down there to see Fat Mike at the homie Snoop's studio, it was the homie's birthday. And he was really into Torch Talk, man. And his wife at the time made him a Torch Talk cake. So I show up to the studio to see Fat Mike, and there's my man Iron Lion, and he has a fucking Torch Talk cake. And yeah, Mike was pretty fucking stoked on what we had done already, even though it was still pretty early in this, you know? Like, you just saw that we'd kind of united the community in a unique way. And yeah, that meant the world to me, man. Fat Mike, rest in peace, dude. So if y'all don't know who we're talking about, man, he's a really cool cat, and he put a lot of people on the torch. Like, he would give almost anybody a chance. And yeah, man. And man, Adam, goddamn, cool motherfucker, dude. I can't even. I don't even want to get into this. It made me, like I said, made me a little sad. Think about my man who passed, and both of these men's passed. And Mike, man, he'd been telling me for like years he was about to die, so actually it wasn't a big surprise.
So I believed it. Yeah.
I believed him. My man, Iron Lion though, man, he went way before his time. And I don't know. Anyways, we shouldn't have brought up this trip because it's making me think about how many people I saw on that trip who've already passed. But anyways,
it happens. The older you get, the closer you get to that age where you talk about funerals instead of weddings and birthdays and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But back to the present. Look at Grimm and what he's doing
look at Grimm,
there,
man. Just working this seal in. You know, a seal like this, it's almost like you're purposefully shifting the 40-40-20 math, you know, because you've only got such a good angle when you're doing a seal like this, right? Like, I mean, he did a great job. It's just, it's not like a straightforward seal where you can get the two pieces, you know, you got both of them in your hands and like easy angles and all that. So it's like, here's an example of like where he does need to take a little more time going around and working with the hand torch. And it's like almost like a purposeful shifting of the math, or like an inevitable shifting of the math or whatever. But yeah, man. Yeah, the homies talking about Dan Smith. Fuck yeah, did that amazing fume comb demo. Yeah, we had a really good time back in the day. And yeah, shout outs to all the dogs who were with us back then. But I had a different vision. Not just playing, but this is what it is, though. That's, you know, homies get taken in different directions in life. And my direction in life, like, I really felt passionate about what we were doing. And it just pushed me further in that direction of hemorrhaging my free time and money to cover class events. Whatever, but here, back to that Bunsen. Like, that seal is nice and happy, but I think this was even a moment where he did put it back in the kiln. We edited through it, but if there's ever like a crossfade between two Bunsenings, yeah, there was a kiln trip in between. Otherwise, I would have just left it, you know, consistent kind of thing. So it went into the kiln after a nice Bunsening, and then came back out, and it's getting another Bunsening. And you could tell, man, he's concerned about that neck. That big ass chip is, you know, it gave trouble before, and he had to rework that neck. So it's no big deal that bad boy's happy, but if you had trouble in an area before, you know, glass does have some form of memory. So like, you don't gotta go crazy, but yeah, go ahead and baby that motherfucker. Why not? Like, it already gave him trouble, so I that's what we're seeing here, is that like that area was one he did have to put a little extra work into, and it's like, yeah, not he's I think just matter of playing it safe. And why not? Because it took like one extra minute. I'm I'm a I'm a victim of that shit. Like, I'll skip the thing that would take one extra minute and tank 2 hours of work. Like, I have to like think about that sometimes. Like, Mike, are you like, don't do that shit again? Are you about to like give up 2 minutes for 2 hours? Because like I'm very prone to that type of thing, you know. And what I notice, people like Grimm, people like Eugene, like, they actually take that extra time. And because nothing happens, the piece gets done like fast. It doesn't feel fast at the time, but it's fast because nothing weird happens. And it's something I've touched upon before, is just like don't be afraid to slow down. Don't be afraid to be methodical. Don't be afraid to take 7 times to pull the glass out of that thing. We saw Grimm do it a couple of times. Like where the glass was thicker, just take those extra steps. It's no big deal, man. You don't gotta go crazy and go try to go all hard because you feel like, oh, this should have happened in 4 tries. No, sometimes it takes 8. Don't worry. Just slow down. That's something I have to tell myself, at least. Because, like I said, man, you see it from these guys who are, they sometimes it feels like they work almost a little slow. But the work gets done faster than you would think because, like I said, nothing goes off. Or that, I mean, that's almost disingenuous because the best I've watched shit go wrong. Truthfully, dogs, I've watched, like, I don't know. It's almost hard for me to think of somebody that something didn't go. Kiva Ford is the only person I think I've ever, like, taken a class with or filmed a demo with or whatever where, like, something didn't go wrong. Like, don't stress that shit. Steve Ijanowski, the dog, in the chat. Good to see you, player. Says, time is money. Work fast.
It's DVG.
You know, and I don't disagree with that. I feel like it's one of those things, getting back to what I was talking about earlier, where, like, get good at something. When you get good at something and consistent at something, then you can start skipping steps and accelerating. You know? It's when you're making a one-off unique piece or something you've only done so many times, you know, or you're using, you know, you're making the piece shape that you've made, but you're using all different Encomo sections, so you've got all these different, like, densities to the glass. These are the times when be cognizant and don't be afraid to slow down a little bit, even if it's just to, like, take a moment for intention. You know what I mean? Like, I do this because I've fucked things up sometimes by, like, almost being on autopilot, where it's like before I pull something out of the kiln, like, I literally take a moment to think to myself, okay, we're going to stripe this. We're going to, you know, like, I literally just take a moment to, like, gut check and be like, all right, what are we doing right now? Because I'm high as hell. I'm like, oh God, what am I doing right now? No, I'm just playing. It really does, like, behoove you to, like, get off autopilot. And even if you're not actually, like, necessarily slowing down your process, I'm not advocating that, but there is something to be said for mindfulness and not rushing. Like, move fast. Figure out the fastest ways to do things. Of course, have 3 of them in the kiln at once and be productionizing your process. But yeah, but don't ever, the second you think, like, not be mindful, that's when that shit'll come back to bite you kind of moment. So all I can do is share with you guys the horrific PTSD I've incurred from glass errors. And and here we go. Look at this thing, you guys. Fucking nice. Disc attached to the back. Really beautiful piece. Oh shit, there's subliminal glass in the background. Straight cameo effect. What up? Absolutely amazing glassworker himself. I did film him and Cha collabing.
Nice.
It's one of those demos where, like, the piece showed up with, like, most of it done kind of things. But
well, you know,
we're gonna eke something out of it, homies, I promise. Chris was probably like, yeah, Mike's filmed enough. Just bring the piece.
we ever ran that mold that he used at last year with the bear sculpting pendant thing that he did?
I have not. I'm not
Something to
opposed
look
to sharing it
something
later.
to look forward to.
If you guys in the chat want to see a bit of that, sound the fuck off, cause I'm not scared. I'll find that fucking
Sweet.
footage.
It'd
I
be a
just gotta
nice little
look at what
treat.
drive I've got attached right now and like
Right,
figure out if
yeah.
I've got the Melt 2022 stuff, cause I'd be happy to share some of that. It's rough, cause I haven't edited it. This is where you guys will find out, cause like that molding stuff, like I have to pop the camera off. There's no way you can film that type of sculpting on the tripod.
Right.
And it's so difficult though, you know, because like you don't want to get in this amazing artist's way, and it's a fucking nightmare. Huge shout outs to like Windstar Glass, somebody who like I've had the opportunity to film so many times that we got really comfortable with that. Like the footage of her work, I'm so proud of that shit. She's cool as fuck. Huge shout outs to Windstar.
Right.
Somebody like Chris I've filmed, but not quite that intimately.
I mean, it takes a special person to be able to have a camera right over their shoulder, you know.
And Chris don't mind. It's just that we don't have that flow yet, is all.
Right.
Chris is one of the coolest dudes. He would have been like,
You got to
whoa.
learn to dance first.
He'd be like, I don't mind if you bump into me. I'd be like, all right, Chris.
You totally would. That was a good chaw.
That was a good shot? Okay,
It
word. All
was,
right.
yeah.
All right. I just got to work on my Grimm.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Trixie.
I'm not sure I have that footage immediately accessible. Did homies sound off in the chat?
I got a couple
They
people
did?
saying
All right,
yes.
all right,
Yes.
all right. Hold on. I'm going to plug in
Yes,
a different drive
definitely want to
then.
see that.
I'll plug in another drive. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so Mike's not here. I guess I should tell you guys, you know, if this is your first time to this channel, if you've never been here before and you just kind of happened upon it and you like what you see and you want to see more of it, go over there and hit that subscribe button. And if you click the little bell, you'll get notifications so you won't miss a live show. You'll get a notification 30 minutes until Torch Talk is live, and you can join us for the live party and chat. If not, you can always watch it afterwards. But, you know, it's always fun to pop up and chat, hang out with Stevie G and Robert Data. Anyway, hit that like button if you like. You know, Grimm might get a taste for how many people actually liked this. Of the, 63 people that are here, at least 49 like it.
Grimm's going to have my head if this has less than 100 likes.
Right, exactly. Never again, Mike. Never again.
This isn't going to happen. Yeah. And yeah, doing a really nice termination to clean up that mouthpiece and get it to a nice, clean, center, even hole. And using what looks like his marble mold, like as a paddle, to work that end down.
Got a nice corner on it.
Yep. Yeah, really nice. All right, let's see if this other drive happens to have the Melt 2022 footage.
I don't know. Chaw's got just a tube over there.
Melt 2021. Where's Melt 2022? Yeah, this is weird.
Huzzah, huzzah.
Yeah, guys.
Applause.
Huge thanks to Grimm, to Amy and Leanne Short, to everybody on the team at Glass Vegas. Man, these homies have been real good to you, boy. I can't say how much I appreciate them. like I said, man, this was one of those events in that time between the Glass Art Society, um, and like I said, approving this notion or making this plan to do this live broadcast and actually doing that thing that it was such a cool opportunity. And this event, like I said, opened their arms to us before anything really popped off. That shit is not forgotten. It was them and East Coast Melt who were, kind of zeroed in on the community that had formed around this channel. Even when we were doing something, don't get me wrong, man, we were having fun out there. It was like